수 있게 되어서 그때 못했던 것들을 말로 더 해줄 수 있기 때문에 이번 월드컵 더 자신 있을 것 같습니다.
When I was a player, I couldn't really contribute to the team, but then now as a coach, I'm giving them a lot of advice and how about strategies and picks and bans. So I think I'm being a lot more help to the team at this point.
Right, and finally, well, their team has been putting down a near perfect performance so far. If there's one thing you would like to see them do better, what would that be?
지금 삼성 화이트팀이 이미 너무 잘해주고 있지만 딱 한 가지 더 바라는 게 있다면 무엇이 있을까요?
지금 기세가 좋다고 너무 자기가 최고라는 그런 걸 가시나하지 않고 그냥 이번 롤드컵 끝나기 전까지는 여기 오기 전 그 마음 절실함 잊지 않고 싸우지 않고 열심히 하는 팀이 되었으면 좋겠습니다.
I hope my players don't get too excited about their performance, and until the World Championship is over, I hope they don't put their guards down and keep playing their best.
Well, they're doing fantastically so far. Thank you very much, and good luck in the next matchup. And let's get right into that. Over to the desk.
Thank you very much, Sharks. We're on to game 3 of Samsung White versus Team SoloMid. Samsung White have taken that incredibly strong 2-0 lead. They are currently 8-0 at the World Championship this year, and they are one Smash Nexus away from advancing to the semi-finals. It's hard to say what Samsung White could do better. There's very little that comes to mind. Monty, I immediately just want to talk about Looper. Pulled out the Singed again. The cast has talked about his first professional game as Worlds last year, and he's back this year delivering.
Let's talk about that, Singe. That was, I feel that Samsung White is styling a bit in picks and bans right now. Just a little bit.
We call it a looper reel.
Yeah, the looper reel. He did great on Singe, but, I mean, White picked a composition with 0 wave clear last game and still got away with it like a bandit. So, little bit suspect. Looper's play has been great, but I would say his champion picks have not been altogether optimal.
And Freak on the other side for Team SoloMid, they seem to be scrambling. Amazing in particular has taken a lot of knocks this series.
Yeah, he's not getting Lee Sin as his best champion by a lot. What I did like to see was the fact that Wild Turtle & Co. could win the bottom lane. When the Twitch came out, they could beat the weakest AD carry champion in lane, and they could do that. To me, you've got to find a comp that sieges 20 minutes in and try to close the game. The longer the game goes, the more chance Samsung White's million little outplays matter.
In Amazing's defense, so if you're outmatched as a team and individually in each lane, then the guy that's going to suffer the most from that is the jungler, because everybody will just flow over into that jungle and shut you down completely.
I mean, you have to feel for Amazing, because he's going to get a lot of flack after this, and really, like, Mata's in his jungle constantly, Dandy's in his jungle constantly, and Pawn is ready to react like this. Looper's even teleporting into his jungle, so what can Amazing do? He can't even farm his camps.
Well, two lane top. That's the answer.
Well, we will find out as we hand it back over to Riv, Jat, and Deficio at the caster desk to get us back into the action.
Thank you once again, gentlemen, and we are almost ready to jump into Champion Select here. Going off a bit of what Holmes said there, they prepped so much for these teams, and it's almost like they prepped so far into TSM's mind that they don't even have to worry about these invades. They're not even in a dangerous position when they get into TSM's jungle in this early game.
No, and that's really the scary part. Whenever TSM tries to do anything, Samsung White, they're ready. I mean, they know what's about to happen. They're always one step ahead every single time.
And the biggest thing that White has to do is just keep their heads. They completely dominate games 1 and 2 with very crisp and decisive early games. If the early game doesn't go exactly as planned, they need to make sure they still have that serious zone to go into if the game actually does get close. Because these first two, they've had such control after the first 5 to 10 minutes that they've been able to loosen up a bit.
And I just love the fact they keep banning this Orianna, because Zed has not been working for Bjergsen because he's not alone in one-on-one. Like, there's a lot of members involved in this, and it's a playmaking champion where you have to get a lead to be useful in the game. Orianna's a lot more safe, that's why they keep banning him.
And we actually were mentioning how in Game 1, we really didn't feel, or even Game 2, we didn't feel like TSM got outpicked. So there was actually no need for TSM to change up their ban. However, White is making it a point to play a different strategy in every single game. So even though Ryze was available for their first pick, to just go with the same thing, they pass on it to probably put Amazing on Jarvan again because they found that to be such an advantageous matchup, or just because they want to deal with Darius' Ryze.
Well, I mean, it could definitely be because they want to see Amazing on Jarvan again. Jarvan is a champion. Once he goes in, he's not going out. Which means if he's engaging on you in a bad situation, you will kill him 10 out of 10 times. Jarvan is so hard to play perfectly on professional level. I wonder if TSM is gonna I was gonna say, pull out the Nunu pick and try and do some like early dragon, get an early Baron maybe, two-man the Baron with the Nunu. Try something new, surprise Samson White a little bit.
They have to. We said in the beginning, they need to go for broke. There's nothing to lose here. They have to put it all on the table here. Game 3, Samsung White is up 2-0. Then Luber hovers his main, that Mundo. We have not seen it yet, and definitely cause a big impact here in Game 3.
I mean, you could say TSM wants to try something new. They're just not willing to try something new, because it's got to be at least a little bit controlled. But seriously, the Morgana pick, I'm actually very surprised by. It was not a regional pick for them, and I wonder if they're styling a little bit, blind picking a Kassadin. It's almost like they're trying to bait Zed out of Bjergsen, so he can't help other people.
Or Talon pick maybe from Bjergsen here. I mean, he has two great options now against this Kassadin in lane. Talon can really shut down Kassadin because you can silence him as well, so he can never even jump away and you can just burst him down so hard. And we've seen this matchup before a few times. It's always in favor of the Talon. Unless, of course, there's 5 members from the other team.
I mean, Pawn would know. He soloed Faker's Kassadin in the mid lane very recently in relative terms if this Talon matchup ends up happening.
And Samson White, again, the comps they keep building are very late game focused. Oh, we get a Yasuo for Bjergsen here, but the comps from Samson White, again, is extremely late game focused.
This one in particular is excessively so.
But because they always win the early game anyway, they kind of hit this late game point instantly, and it doesn't even matter. Team SoloMid, again, should be stronger in this early to mid game.
And stronger mentally as well. The crowd is behind them now. We heard Dandy saying it's going to be pressure, that there's probably going to be more TSM fans in the crowd, and they are behind TSM here for Game 3. It's a grim one. These have been sub 30-minute games. TSM has to turn things around here.
Yeah, and this comp they're against, they can definitely beat. Kassadin, Mundo, we never see them pick together, especially because you want to have Dr. Mundo against double AP comps, and then when you blind pick a Kassadin, you kind of open up for a physical damage dealer from the other mid laner.
Seriously, it happened in Game 2. Where's the wave clear here from Samsung White? Are they going to be so much inside the jungle of TSM that they don't even consider wave clear or wave pushing from TSM a threat?
That Stunner, once you get shift, that's it. That's it.
Yeah. Everybody's kind of following suit with Dandy getting in the jungle in the face of Amazing. We saw, as you were saying, Imp, we're about 15 CS behind. Let's take the bottom lane and roam and create so much pressure that they can't do anything. Could it happen again? Can TSM bring this one to the late game where they can really flourish? Don't forget to weigh in on the series over on Twitter. Send us hashtag SSWin or hashtag TSMWin to us at LOL Esports, and we'll be tallying your votes shortly. Game 3 to go underway here in the best of 5. Is TSM's mental and physical prowess still up to the test?
Well, if the first 2 games were any indicator, it definitely seems like TSM was not really prepared mentally to make it into these games, but obviously they have to be able to reset. They have been playing many elimination games in best of 5 in the NLCS playoffs, and they were victorious every time. This, though, was one heck of an elimination game.
But they have to be able to punish this comp from Samson White. Kassadin, one of the weakest mid laners early game, and Mundo, one of the weakest top laners. This is the time where TSM needs to play aggressive, punish Samson White for what they've been picking so far, get the lead.
And in order to do so, it has to start now. Games 1 and 2, Samsung White was able to take 3 of the 4 starting jungle buffs. TSM, just play it easy. Don't try to get through for yourself. Just secure your own. Step 1.
Get the necessary wards down. Solo lanes up a little bit as well. The pressure we saw from Dyrus in the playoffs, making Ackerman tilt. Need that back. 1v1ing his lane. Bjergsen being able to hold it very strong. All these things are falling to the wayside with the chaos that Samsung White can create in the early game. Will this be the one? TSM makes it out with all of their buffs. Amazing has been having a very hard time. The matchup has been in the mid lane, but they're making sure that it's hard for Amazing to even start the game.
And look, everyone from Samsung White, they spot TSM and instantly run into the jungle here. Let's see what we're gonna have a fight early on.
It's frustratingly efficient, but let's see how it works.
A level 1 5v5. Dandy doesn't go down. He surpasses. Lustboy picks up first blood. The knight's down as well. And Samsung White is running for the hills. Luber goes down. The duo lane picking up the kills. Best of it.
TSM walks through a ward with 5 people at level 1. and still wins the fight 2-0.
Hey, Jack, you were saying everybody has a skill at level 1. Just use them. TSM took a hold of that
Go
one.
in with confidence. Lust Boy play, Thresh level 1 play is so damn threatening. And it showed there.
First time to actually take the fight instead of just disengage instantly and run away. They're staying. Samsung White, okay, you want to do us on level 1, we'll take you, we'll kill you, take your red buff, we can get a 3-buff start now.
All right, two things to look at here. Can TSM run with this? And the first time we have to see White adapt.
Yeah, you see them instantly send the duel in up top side, so obviously it should be a 3-buff start here for TSM because now Amazing needs to go to his own blue buff.
And the things we're going to have to track here is how the roaming impacts the lanes here. When will Wild Turtle be left alone to watch the Lust Boy roam? Where will Mata go to try and impact the rest of this game? There is a big vulnerability in the mid lane for Samsung White, and it will be about how they attempt to patch that up with this Dandy Hooper roam.
Yeah, well, the Morgana is not exactly the best support pick for roaming in a lane swap.
No,
Thresh is
the
a
picks
lot
for White
better.
here,
Yeah.
as we saw, leave much to be desired.
I mean, Lust Boy, if he's roaming around on Thresh, he can be part of a lot of kill steals. He's a lot stronger in like these small skirmish fights. Also because he has the Lantern, he can easily get a second member in the fight.
Talked about TSM with leads and holding them very well at 1,000 gold, even before 3 minutes in the game it was. We'll see how they react. Pearson's going to be getting big in that mid lane, still looking at Wild Turtle and Lustboy to come up with those kills and produce results later. 3 lanes here for the farmers, and this has always proved very useful for Imp in this situation. Just farm up and get ready for the fights.
And we can see Team SoloMid falling back to the game 1 tactic in the lane swap. Fast push the bottom lane, send down Amazing and Dyrus. If anyone from White shows up, that's where they have to dive them, force them away from this entire wave. And that's also why Lupa is saying, I'm not going to go bottom lane this time. There could be 4 members.
Something that Samsung White is doing very well is they're making sure they have a lot of people in the bottom lane in case TSM decides to go for a dragon soon. And here's that from Morg.
Oh, Pearson very low! Oh! Blocks out the dark binding! Saves his own life.
At the last possible second, he throws up that wind wall, and luckily, he was one of the few people who didn't burn flash in that level 1 engagement, so he still had that when the gank came, and they actually will draw first turret as well.
Yeah, fast pushing down here, and because the action in mid lane was avoided, nobody died. Actually forced a flash as well.
They may have pulled off an ideal freeze right there. They killed the turret right as the wave was coming, and they can actually freeze this now.
Yeah, as long as the minions are grouped together, they will always attack the first minion coming from your wave, and that's what we saw here. It's gonna freeze.
Well, TSM are absolutely able to grab this first objective. It's going to be Pawn back into the mid lane. No, he actually does not back. Looper comes out from spawn. This was not a teleport here.
What a great target for the Cleaver. Lustboy is trying to damp the turret aggro.
White should fight here. There's only 4 members from Samsung White who can be around this dragon.
Amazing is so low though.
Dandy knows it.
Oh,
he steals it. Dandy locked it down. They locked down Amazing as well. Does TSM let the lead go to waste here? No, they're able to pick up Looper. Pawn has fallen in this fight. Dandy's stuck in.
There's no flash.
He does not have a flash. That's a bug splat coming in from Wild Turtle. 3-0 and 2 coming up on 6 minutes.
Man, if he didn't steal that dragon, that would have been a catastrophe for Samsung White. They had to take a big risk there. Deficio, you were absolutely right in saying they should not have fought there, and that's why. 3 more kills to TSM almost makes the dragon steal irrelevant.
Yeah, that was such a greedy play. Your AD carry sitting in top lane, farming. There's no way for him to ever join. You have a Kassadin, by the way, one of the weakest early mid laners in small fights, and Mundo's gonna throw a rank 1 cleaver in your face, and then that's it. Why on earth are you running forward with this fight?
I mean, he saw how low Amazing was, and he timed his W with his smite so well. But then after the fact, they still didn't have the manpower to fight. Dandy had used his most leveled spell to steal the dragon. Wild Turtle completely cleans up this fight. 3-0-2, early BF sword. Let's see if they punish.
This is the best possible start we could see for Team SoloMid. They couldn't wish for more. They are so much stronger in going into the mid game as well compared to Samsung White.
Considering what happened in the first 2 games, this feels like a near miracle, but it's honestly because they were willing to take a few more risks. They saw the fight at level 1. They committed for it. They saw a dragon. They committed for it.
Yes.
They are being rewarded.
They stayed at the dragon. They didn't care about Samson White moving in. Every other game, they've been running away instead, saying, we don't want to take the risk. This time, they know it's all or nothing. And that's a good hook.
Imp gets the black shield on him, but he's taking that trade very low in HP in mid lane. Well, getting a little bit of love out of this one, but they back off. Level 6 is there, so he's got to be careful for the ultimate. Amazing, trying to get himself in. Great deep wards, or actually defensive wards, I should say, in their jungle. Through the turret onto Imp. That's the rocket jump. The flash coming in from Turtle. Summoner heal is out, and Imp is forced to flash as well. TSM is really putting their foot down here.
I mean, let's see if they can get this blue buff control. They have the pink ward, they have a recalling Imp. They are taking what their advantages allow them to, and they have White on the back foot here.
Yeah, and also notice, Dandy is being shut down right now. TSM is running into his jungle, looking for fights, force him away from the buff so he won't be able to dictate the game like we've seen before.
See if they can keep it up. Dyrus flashing.
It was the cast in Rome. He had to flash.
Cast in Rome indeed.
This is something.
Off from the mid.
It's actually something we see from Looper very frequently. He is so good at keeping top laners at a point where they have no options other than put themselves in risk of dying. He will keep the lane frozen there as long as possible. Some people would say Dyrus was being greedy for farm there because he was in position, but no, if he's not there, he has nowhere to be, and at least he didn't have it cost him his life.
I like the little trade here from Imp actually. What we see Tristana players do when they're against an AD carry who has no sustain is you use your ulti as poke.
Like a
Basically,
headshot.
you just use it in the start. You either AD carry, then you ulti him instantly after, and you actually win the trade, and he has no sustain to really get his HP back.
See, Pawn definitely wanted to get some fight out. Blasting Wand first item instead of helping get out that catalyst for the rod. Very interesting. The wards being cleared out now by Lustboy as they try to take control more of this top lane. The power is coming from that duo here.
And something we have to mention here is TSM absolutely cannot let up. When you look at the low wave clear and the late game composition of Samsung White, this is almost an expected result for the early game. White was a little greedy and actually come out of this a little bit farther behind than they should, but only 2,000 gold against a comp like this.
What a play! Gets the dodge though, but Dyrus is gonna be there. Not even off the teleport, just hanging around in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, down this bottom lane, Lupa has been freezing the lane for a while, so Dyrus just said, okay, I have no flash, I'm gonna walk top lane, we have the lantern on fresh, I can join the fight instantly, nice setup, and of course, interrupting the jump midair.
When you're making the plays, you're the one with teleport up. We see now Loopers is down. The pressure from Dyrus can be made here. It is a minute and 40 on Dragon. It looks like Looper will have it back before then. But Dyrus is definitely doing for himself this game as well. A lot of individual decisions being made that come together as a team here.
And right now, TSM, we're just going to see it again. This is the lantern from Lost Boy, and he times the jump. That is just beautiful. Nobody cares about this hook. It's all about stop.
It's all that mattered. If he can stop the jump, he threw the hook out actually.
Force him back.
In case he missed the flay, because that's about where he was going to land. I'm going to give him that one. Because he was able to get the kill anyway.
Timing for flash as well.
It's so hard to play against Trist because if you interrupt in the first quarter second of the cast time of jump, you won't interrupt it. You actually have to get it once he's barely become airborne. And that's what Lustboy was able to do at that point.
And I love the play here from Wild Turtle and Lost Boy. They know the Cassidy in mid lane isn't able to instantly wave clear. So because they've already taken bot tower, they've already taken top tower, you start going mid lane and you start pushing it down because you will always get damage on this tower. Cassidy won't be able to respond in time. There needs to be more members from Samsung White if they want to stop this push.
And they are definitely turning the tables on White's head here. 6-1, 10.5. TSM is prepping for this dragon.
Yeah, and honestly, for White, they have to give it up. Turtle mode.
Yeah, White has to give up this dragon. They cannot fight for it.
We say that, but based on the way that White contested the last one, I wonder if their mindsets changed to respecting TSM here, because honestly, the play they made earlier in the game was not respecting TSM's team compositional strength.
Yep.
White thought they could do anything. They thought they had mentally destroyed TSM, but they had not the time. However, they might still try. They are recalling down bottom to get 5 people in range. They don't have vision though, and they're doing the smart thing this time around.
But is it too late? Because you have already fallen very, very far behind with a comp who needs to scale into late game. And we're not talking 20 minutes into the game or 25 minutes. We're talking 30, 35 plus before Mundo can tank enough damage, before Kassadin is strong enough, especially with the changes to his ulti. He needs even more mana now for the late game. It needs to be fully stacked.
And we speak of Trist as the super late game champion, but typically when we see Trist taking over games, it's with the help of a Janna, or an Orianna, or a Lulu, or a Nami, or anything that can amplify Trist's auto attack. This is a Trist on an island right now who actually isn't helped very much, which means you have to wait until 4 to 5 items before it becomes the Trist everyone sees in their head.
Exactly, and we often also see Trist with wave clear comps, so you can sit back, play defensive, and wait for the late game point. Samsung White won't be able to do that. It's going to be all about it being the wave clear, which opens up for TSM to make plays.
The first time we've been seeing Samsung White play from behind and TSM taking it to him and making sure they stay behind. 12 minutes into this, 6-1. 2 turrets in favor, or 1 for turret in favor of Team SoloMid, I should say. But that gold lead is what they're really banking on. The items completed on their side. You see that Pawn is not afraid to still get a semi-engage in, get himself out safely. Samsung White is still trying to keep the pressure on, but they were wrong to disregard the mentality of Team SoloMid coming into this game.
And we said it in the pregame. What happens if Samsung White's 3-buff type of early game goes wrong and TSM is able to pull ahead? Will they be able to adjust and play it like they aren't so far ahead? The issue that White kind of ran into when they completely steamrolled the first 2 games is playing like they're invincible. But now it seems like they've calmed down and they're going to be looking to make some moves. Well, there we go.
Oh, and the Dyrus, he does try to get himself out of this one. Just too much lockdown happening on that. Dandy picks himself up a kill as he starts getting inside TSM's jungle.
And this is where Team SoloMid needs to be able to punish him elsewhere on the map. When there's so many members on the top side and there's not even a tower to take for them, down his bottom lane, they need to be able to put on the pressure, take the tower, kill the Mundo maybe, who's still fairly squishy, but he don't really want to risk the dive, or at least take the mid tower.
They're thinking some big thoughts right now with the positioning of Thresh and Jarvan. They think better of it though.
So just realizing the fact Samsung White, when they're so far behind, are still running into the jungle of the enemy team. Dyrus didn't expect it at all. He was just running down. It's like, they're clearly not here. We are pressuring bottom lane and mid lane. No way they're in my jungle. And suddenly Dandy's just standing there, killing him.
On split pushing now. Samsung White not entering their red side of the jungle because it is completely dark. TSM with huge vision on the bottom side of the map allows them to have Bjergsen on the bot lane, and they just float between the lanes, now taking down mid, 3-1 in turrets.
And this is what TSM wanted when they picked Lucian. They need to be able to move him around from lane to lane, kill turrets with the aid of his passive, and just keep things going. However, the one thing that hasn't actually gone that well for TSM is this Dyrus game at the moment. Pretty low in CS, pretty low in levels, and not really the rise force that Hooper was able to become in the first game.
He's having fun with no magic resistance on Rise right now, and it looks like they're going to get Dandy up there for a little bit of the party here if Dyrus takes too many steps off that turret.
There's always an advantage to take in League of Legends whenever one team commits resources in a certain place, and White is attacking the only point where TSM is not strong.
They can actually do it. They're going to have to dive him because he's standing here freezing the lane. He doesn't have to do anything on the map at this point other than just farm.
The lane's going to unfreeze though. White saw this a mile away.
Already. He does a flash.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Now he has teleport. And he can just return to this top lane. I mean, Dyrus at this point just needs to try and farm and get back in the game. The other 4 members are so strong, they can make the plays. They can take down the towers. And Dyrus just sits and waits with teleport in case he's needed.
Something that's happened is it actually seems like TSM's starting to lose control a little bit. They're going to have to make a play.
Lost Boy finding the heat-seeking hooks for himself this time. Take the lantern. Just do it. Oh, the teleport in. Actually, Looper coming from the backside. Nobody takes the lantern. They are able to get Pawn out on that one and blow his fat flash in the situation. A bit more ground gained there by TSM.
That was such a nice setup again by Lost Boy. He's been looking pretty good on Thresh. It was open for Mountain Game 1.
Yeah.
Took it. Game 2, Lost Boy grabs it himself.
Yeah,
First patient.
he's showing up in a big way right now. That bottom lane of TSM so heavily criticized in a lot of ways. 100% kill participation for Lost Boy, nearly the same for Wild Turtle. They're putting the pressure on because White does not have a way of fighting back yet. Next Dragon in 1 minute. TSM needs to continue to control.
They have the same ping boards from before. they've been there for over 5 minutes, which means they don't have to go and buy new ones. They don't have to invest more gold into it because they know, okay, we're going to keep them here. We're going to keep making sure Samsung White is never going to get close to this dragon so they can clear the wards, and they're just sitting ready for next time.
5 hits on a pink ward gives them enough time to catch up to Looper.
Yeah.
He blows his ultimate, and this dragon is looking that much better for Team SoloMid.
Once that's burned, it's TSM's Dragon. At this point, Samsung White just says, all right, how much is TSM willing to commit to this? Because we're going to send everyone else to the lane to try and keep farm up. Something that Pawn has been able to do on Kassadin in a difficult matchup against Yasuo, especially with multiple turrets falling down, is farm. 145 CS on Kassadin, 17 minutes in a losing game, is a hard thing to accomplish.
Yeah, he's just been standing top lane for the last 5-6 minutes, just farming. Everyone else actually from Samsung White managed to at least defend the tier 2 turrets in mid lane and bot lane. Didn't go down yet. So right now, Team SoloMid is actually giving Samsung White a bit of time to get some much needed farm on the Kassadin, but this dragon will be theirs.
Yeah.
Then we need to start seeing them into the jungle, get down these tier 2 turrets in mid and bot lane, and just force the Kassadin to not sit and farm but be part of this Team White.
White definitely feeling the pressure. Pawn getting a needlessly large rod, feeling the elixir needs to be there as well for a little bit of bump in damage so they can make the impact they need in these fights. They'll be getting blue buff right now. See if they can act off of anything on this. That was our mid lane matchup coming out. Bjergsen here in game 3, keeping it strong for Team SoloMid. Up in those assists and CS. They're going for the bottom lane now. TSM putting their foot down and keeping control so far.
As long as TSM realizes that White is completely paranoid of keeping that control in the top lane, they can take the rest of this map. Dyrus has played really safe considering the amount of board investment and time investment that White has put into shutting Dyrus down. TSM continues to take the small advantages they need to take because, remember, Kassadin Mundo Trist is long.
And because Samsung White has no wave clear, Bandy's not even there with the team. He's topside, again trying to get this Kassadin going. It's the only way for Samsung White to get back into the game. They have to surrender these turrets because they have no wave clear.
Absolutely, but maybe they'll try a flank attack right here. This is kind of their one chance. They finally have a flank, it's not a turret, and TSM is low.
Looper's all back up, they're getting them split. Here comes Pawn. Dandy tries to jump in, they get Turtle. Pawn very low on this one, but Dandy's going to fly back into the fight here. Now they're going for Dyrus, cut down by Imp. Now they're looking at Lost Boy, but have they figured out where Amazing is? It looks like he's got himself to safety. They also took down Looper, and it looks like Bjergsen will get himself out. So they save face on that.
Turret and a 2-for-1. Not the end of the world, but still a great collapse by Samsung White. They were able to get a few kills. They were able to get the shutdown onto Wild Turtle, and in the long run, it should benefit them a little bit. Not a game-changing play by any means.
Yeah, so the big deal in this fight is how Team SoloMid actually split up after the take the tower. So Amazing and Bjergsen is fighting Looper 2v1, which simply means the back line now is exposed. And the flank coming around from Samsung White, there's nobody to help either Wild Turtle or Dyrus in this back line, and they just end up dying.
Pretty scary, that power squad of Imp, Dandy, and Mata coming strong every time. I think we see that same result.
And let's just think of this series in a psychological perspective. But if I was Samsung White's coach right now, I would be really mad. Because think of what happened in the first 2 games. They had completely destroyed TSM. First off, going into the best of 5, TSM did not believe they could beat White. Right? In all the interviews and all they're talking to them, they're putting White way above everyone else. Like they're these immortal gods that they can't defeat. And it was true for the first 2 games. If TSM, because of the strong early game and the hideously poor early game comp Samsung White has picked, can give TSM the belief and factual knowledge that they can defeat Samsung White at least once in a best of 5. If you can win 1 game, you can win 3 games. Like just the mental boost it would be for TSM is ridiculous, and it didn't have to happen because Samsung White had the psychological edge. They had the history of winning games, but they're giving it up in this game if they can't pull it out.
And does that become a replay of the overconfidence? We've heard him quoted saying we were too overconfident, and that's what got us in trouble. They seem to have done it once again.
For sure.
Getting into trouble.
100%. This is their own fault with the pick and ban phase, and then it's full credit to Team SoloMid going into this game saying, we don't want to be nervous anymore, we don't want to play passive, now we want to just be as aggressive as possible and make the plays.
Everybody trying to get into the Cataclysm. And Mata can't get out. Going down. Pawn throws himself into the front there. But they close in on it. The lockup. The knockdown. They take out the Pawn. The most expensive of the members, actually. The hook onto him. The play as well. They force the flash out of him. And he's down to about 310 HP. No longer participating in this fight. And they're only able to throw the business to get him out of here.
What was Pawn doing at that point? They're all in the brush clearing a ward, and of course he's vulnerable to a knockup. There is a CC chain in the TSM team composition. He falls to 0-3, 4 kills to the TSM.
So let's see here. TSM jumping in, and now it's all about the fact that all the members are standing together, so he wants to go in and poke them. Notice the flag and drag into flash from Mason right here, just to get the knockup. Flash form, get the knockup. Bjergsen joins in, do a death castle.
Lustboy actually misplayed his abilities a fair bit there. He used the box preemptively and also played the air. That may have been able to get another kill once he landed the hook on him. But TSM can be happy with that edge they were able to take right there.
TSM no longer trying to defend the turret in the top lane. They're finally past River. Dyrus starts to take that into his own hands. They will join him towards this top side of Ward right on the outside. But
This
TSM
is
feels like
actually
they can bear
a
it.
make or break point for TSM. The Dragon and the Baron are both objectives right here, and they go without sufficient vision control. Baron's getting low. I wonder if White can collapse. 2,000 health. Are they in position for a steal?
Wards are down.
No.
No, they do not steal. They go back onto Mata. Once again, a little too close with this Morgana pick. He goes down, and the crowd begins to cheer once again for Team SoloMid.
And with the Dragon coming up in 40 seconds, TSM can have their cake and eat it too. The danger of going for a Baron in 23 minutes if it doesn't work out is White would have taken the Dragon on the other side. That is no longer a threat, and they can do whatever they want, especially with the Mata.
It was White going for seconds and thirds, but Team SoloMid has got their hand in the pie this time, and it looks like they will keep going. 11-4, 23 and a half minutes on this one, and the inhibitor turrets in the eyes of Team SoloMid.
And I love to see this team when they actually believe in themselves and when they actually want to make plays and not just back away and let Samson White dictate the game. This Baron as well. They see Kathleen on the bottom side with no teleport, of course. Instant. Straight go Baron. We know we can take it down before Samson White can react. We get the Baron, get the kills. Things are looking great.
They're not even giving up side turrets to the split push right now. Still only one turret down from Samsung White. Things are kind of going from bad to worse. If they can sneak this Dragon, though, it would be a very, very valuable sneak. And I think they're going to get it. The question is, will TSM catch it?
And can they get out alive? Yeah, because they're going to collapse. No, actually just pushing mid lane. They just want the inhibitor. They don't even care about the Dragon at this point.
Honestly, considering how far down they are, that was a great play by Samsung White. But can they make it back in time for the second inhibitor to fail?
Yeah.
We see the problem with no wave clear right now, guys. The inhibitor turrets are falling.
Previously, before the series, I had never seen a team that manages and manipulates the minion waves as well as Samsung White. Yet they threw caution to the wind in the last two pick and ban phases, and they are absolutely getting punished this game by TSM.
In this game, you cannot control anything. When you're this far behind, that's it. The map is gone. It belongs to America. It belongs to Team SoloMid at this point, and that's why no wave management for Samsung White, no wave clear. Try and get a Dragon. It's the best you can do.
TSM keeping the pedal to the metal now with a 10,000 gold lead, on par to finish the game in time with what Samsung White has been bringing to the table.
It's crazy. If this is a normal game and not the amount of pressure that is under all these teams right now, a 25-minute team that just picked up a Baron buff, has a 10,000 gold advantage, and has killed 2 inhibitors, it's a walk in the park. Done deal to close the game. They send all 5 members down to the bottom lane. They wait until super minions push in on multiple sides, or they wait until there's 1 or 2 people defending. They take the 3rd inhibitor. If it tries to get defended, they win the game. That's what TSM knows. They're trying to just play this like a normal game and beat a Korean team for the first time in their history.
That's true.
And not just a Korean team. Samsung White.
Samsung White, a favorite coming out of Korea. They're looking to be number 1, as second best has been on that plaque in their wall for so long, and they're trying to just put the number 1 plaque there. But TSM does not want that to happen. Everybody full mana, bolstered up here for Team SoloMid, ready to step on the toes of Samsung White once again, and their final inhibitor turret.
So White has actually managed the waves a little bit. TSM is only down here to force White to be in the mid lane. Imp spent a miraculous amount of time pushing the top lane, which may mean TSM can't go until their Baron buff is out, because you can see there's only about 30 seconds left on it. So there's a little bit of a timer here if TSM wants to close this one cleanly.
Be interested to see if that's also when White dives right in to surprise Team SoloMid. They're watching the Baron circle and empower, I should say, Team SoloMid here.
It's probably this way. They should go in for the tower here. Imp is dealing with the mid. They're going for Looper.
Got the big guy. Do they want Looper? Pawn down to about half HP. First whip is forced in defense. And it looks like they're not actually able to get Turtle in range for shots on the turret. Just Dyrus here.
Still one way.
That's what they definitely want. They bring out the Fly Swatter and take down Dandy. Now they have the inhibitor turret, and it looks like they are going to be able to push on through. Imp's trying to focus on these waves that they actually aren't able to control now. Team SoloMid looking to Nexus turrets. The top one's going to fall. This could be a hectic fight, but it's also going to be one in favor of Team SoloMid to start it off.
They got it.
Going on the Montauk. It's going to be game 3 in favor of Team SoloMid. They keep themselves alive. Not even needing an iron lung on this one. Just a few more shots, all very low. A cleanup crew is sitting on the rift right now if they can't take down Pawn or Imp. And that's the Nexus. We're going to game 4.
This is not over just yet. Team SoloMid showing when they